Good evening and welcome, everybody. We will get started by having Father Michael and Father Aaron offer us a prayer. Father Michael.
Good evening to all and welcome.
The poor shall eat and be satisfied, and they who seek the Lord shall praise him. Their hearts shall live to the ages of ages. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and forever, and to the ages of ages. Amen. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Holy Father, bless.
Christ our God, we're asking you to bless each one present in this fellowship. Bless the food and drink of we're about to partake, for thou holy and on ever into the ages of ages. Amen.
I'd like to invite Diane Futris in her beautiful voice to sing the national anthems of the United States and Greece. Diane.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Segnoris apotin hopsi tu spathiu din dromeri, segnoris apotin hopsi media metraiti apta kog lavgameni ton elinon daera que sambrota andriomeni hiero relefria que sambrota andriomeni hiero relefria que sambrota andriomeni hiero relefria.
So good evening again, everybody. If I may, we'll just, we have a lot to cover tonight. It's a beautiful night, a wonderful night, and but we also don't want to make it all night. So we'll keep things going and offer a few remarks during the different courses. So I'd like to ask Dr. Kales to give us a thumbs up if she can hear us okay. All right, we have a thumbs up. Technology. And first of all, on the keyboards back here is Chris from JP Lilly. Let's give Chris a round of applause. Because if any of you have done this technology before, the fact that he's got it all working, and I'm knocking on wood, is remarkable. They've done a great job and we're very appreciative. So Father Michael, Father Aaron, our esteemed honorees, Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales, and our guests, good evening, everybody. It is a wonderful night. In the Psalms, it is asked, what shall I render to the Lord for all of his benefits to me? This is an essential question of stewardship in our Orthodox Christian faith. Tonight, we celebrate Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kale, who have been a shining example to all of us about how to answer this very question. It's one thing to live your life on this earth, take something that remains, offer it to the good work of the church, but it's quite another to establish the legacy while you're able to actively mentor and guide multiple generations of young people. And it's humbling for me personally to think that Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales were younger than I am now when they established this legacy that we are celebrating today. So in 1984, I was a high school senior and I was trying to figure out what would be next in my life. I was pretty good at school. I was blessed to have an excellent family who raised me in the church, but I don't really think I had a direction in my life other than I knew I wanted to attend Penn State. So through my high school years, I always loved basketball, but wasn't good enough to play for our excellent high school team. So Goya basketball was an outlet for me. And it was through there that I got to know Dr. Anthony, who was a Goya advisor and my basketball coach, but also Dr. Joyce was my Sunday school teacher. And a quick side story for those of you who have played Goya basketball. I remember a particularly heated game. I think we were in St. Sophia's in Washington. It was back and forth, very intense. And at that moment, I decided I knew more than Dr. Kales about how to coach this team, right? And I was going to let him know. So I was like, Dr. Kales, these are the people we need to play. You need to put this person in. Well, with equal passion, he looked at me and said, why don't you go sit on the bench so I can put those other people in? So, so I learned very good lessons, in a variety of different ways from the Kales, including that. So, it's easy to be grateful for receiving a scholarship, but how do you express gratitude for taking a personal involvement in a young person's life? In addition to the mentoring and guidance I received in Goya and Sunday school, the Dr. Kales took a direct hand in my preparation and acceptance into Penn State University at University Park. And I am certain that I would not have achieved that goal without their direct and explicit help towards that. And that would have drastically altered my life's outcome. So now you roll the clock forward so many years later, Beth and I have been blessed in every way that we have 3 children of our own, including our youngest daughter, Katie, who's with us tonight. And she is a first-year med student at Penn State Hershey Medical School. And I'd like Katie to come up and tell her story about Dr. Kales.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Spanos, as who's already said. It's Dad over there. I actually have not heard some of those stories before, so that was actually interesting to hear because it shows that Dr. Kales has actually mentored 2 generations between him and now myself. So I was a graduating senior. I received the Three Hierarchs Scholarship, but much more importantly than that, Dr. Kales has become a really important mentor for me and getting to me where I am now. So I graduated high school. My plans were to go to Dartmouth College, where I'd be studying biology and playing field hockey. And my dream was to go to medical school and study medicine. I knew that that's really what I wanted, and that was my end goal coming out of Dartmouth. So I took all the classes I needed to take. I was spending a lot of time studying, spending a lot of time on the field hockey field, and it came time to actually start putting my medical school application together, which is quite the process to say the least. But so I needed some guidance on that. And the first person I met with was a pre-med advisor at Dartmouth who pretty swiftly crushed my dreams, saying that my grades weren't good enough and I spent too much time on field hockey so that I didn't have other meaningful activities, and that medical school just would not be for me and that I should consider other health careers. So that was definitely a blow to my confidence. What do? I call home to dad, who tells me, Katie, you need to talk to Dr. Kales. He obviously has experience in this stuff. He has a career in medicine. He knows the application process. You need to get some mentorship from him. So I reached out to him. I sent him my resume, gave him a phone call, and that really just changed the course of everything for me, because at that point I was ready to be done with applying to medical school and look for plan B, which I didn't even know what that would be at the point. But I called Dr. Kales, and he first and foremost just really encouraged me with my academic standing and my role as a field hockey player, being a varsity athlete, and how that made me actually a really appealing applicant for medical schools. And not only that, but he really made sure that I would emphasize my Greek heritage and the values that that has given me, from hard work, love, charity, all of those things that also would make me a good medical school student. So after that conversation, I am very grateful I took his advice over my undergraduate advisors and decided to apply to medical school anyway. And he really mentored me every step of the way. We had many long phone calls, and he was just there for me throughout the entire process. And I know for a fact, just like my dad wouldn't have been at Penn State undergrad, I would not be where I am now at Penn State College of Medicine if it wasn't for him. So I can't thank him enough for believing in me when I didn't, and for just helping me to get to these goals of studying medicine. Thank you, Dr. Kales.
Okay, so I'm reading from my notes. She does that unscripted. Okay, well, thanks, Katie. Way to show up, Dad. That's all right. That's all good. So tonight is our opportunity to honor and thank the Drs. Kales for their stewardship and their example in this way. And before I invite some more speakers, I did want to take a minute to thank and acknowledge the committee led by Helen Zanis for this evening. So thank you, Helen and committee. And at this point, I'd like to invite Michael Azar. Now, I know many of you may know him both by name and by talent, but an amazing, gifted young man from a very gifted family. And if you hear his chanting in our church, it's, him along with his family, it's just like heaven on earth. So they have a beautiful gift, and I'm so glad we get to share it with them. Michael, please come up.
Good evening. My name is Michael Azar. I'm a graduate of Cumberland Valley High School, Harrisburg Area Community College, where I got my associate's degree, and Hellenic College Holy Cross in Boston, where I got my Byzantine Chant certificate. And I'm a current pre-med student at Messiah University, studying biology and music. And on behalf of the recipients of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship, my family, and my brother Alexander, who was not able to attend tonight, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales for their generosity and desire to support the church's youth in their educational endeavors. I feel truly blessed to be part of this Orthodox community where we can rely on each other for help through challenges such as funding college. It is easy to take this community for granted and not realize how important it is to be part of the congregation. I'm fortunate enough to stay local and continue to be a member of the parish during my schooling, but for some of my peers who are attending school out of town, finding a new Orthodox community can be pretty difficult. Having an education that is backed by the church serves as a reminder to maintain our faith, especially during our studies. It also encourages us to actively look out for nearby Orthodox communities and build more connections with other Orthodox Christians. All right, story time. So during my first couple of weeks at college, I was having difficulty finding other Orthodox Christians to meet and interact with. So I was looking around, asking around, do you know anybody who's Orthodox? Some people said, what do you mean by Orthodox? Are you Jewish? So, obviously not much help there. But I finally found somebody who was Orthodox, and you know how I could tell? He was wearing a hoodie, and there was an Orthodox cross on it. So I went up, I introduced myself, and it turns out there were a couple more of us. So he introduced me to the whole crowd, and I was actually very, very thankful that I was able to meet everybody. Going out and finding this one person allowed me to meet a much larger community of Orthodox Christians at my college that I otherwise would not have been able to if I had not been actively seeking them out. I'm happy to have found peers who I can relate to spiritually and who can provide me support with adjusting to college. In addition to supporting our education, this scholarship also inspires me and my peers to give back to the community in our own ways. Whether it be starting our own scholarship fund in the future, teaching people within the community, or volunteering our time and talents to the church, there are countless ways to give back. Actively seeking ways to give back not only strengthens our community, but also empowers us to help others with whatever struggles they are dealing with. One way I have found to give back to the community is by teaching Byzantine chant and singing technique through free videos on my YouTube channel, which has amassed almost 600 subscribers. I also run a website that gives free lessons for Byzantine chant and singing technique. Both of these endeavors have been very edifying and fruitful, and it makes me happy whenever I receive emails from people all over the world who have found this content to be very helpful. Putting an effort to a cause you support, whether it be through scholarships or teaching, will reap a bountiful outcome. I'm extremely grateful for the support that this scholarship has given me, and may God inspire us to find ways to give back to our community in our own ways. Thank you.
So hello again. As you can guess by now, I'll just keep interrupting you as the evening goes along. First things first, we have an order of business that I was reminded of tonight. So we have a birthday, and it is Mrs. Georgia Talumis's 79th birthday, right? So, no, she is 91 today. God bless you with many more years and in great health. So happy birthday. Oh, go ahead. I'm not the singer, so Diane, go ahead. Happy birthday. Very good. Happy birthday. Many, many more. So next we'll be having our first Zoom guest. So we're blessed to have Father Constantine Zozos with us via Zoom to offer a few remarks. So if we could switch to Father Constantine, that would be great. There he is.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me, I hope? Okay. Father Michael, Father Aaron, Madam Chairwoman of the celebration, Helen Zanis, beloved parishioners, friends, and family of our distinguished honorees, Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales. Growing up in my early years in Harrisburg and being a part of the Holy Trinity family, I feel blessed that I was asked to share my thoughts this evening regarding the St. Gregory Palamas Scholarship established through the endowment that the Doctors Kales initiated. Being a priest for over 45 years and having graduated from Holy Cross School of Theology, this scholarship means a great deal to the spiritual life of Orthodoxy in America. And due to your generosity, your deep love for our Lord, and through your inspirational vision, it will help support Holy Cross and assist young men to enter the holy priesthood. And I'm sure there's many to come from the cathedral. The word of God not only was planted in my heart, but also in the hearts and the lives of two other beloved members of Holy Trinity, my beloved brothers in Christ, Father John Tulumis and Father Paul Christopoulos. It has been said that philanthropy is not about money. It's about feeling the need of others and caring about the need to help. And I feel that every charitable gift is, as St. John Climacus said, it's like climbing the ladder to heaven. I pray that others will be inspired by your selfless act of bounty. And because of the abundant gifts God bestowed upon each of you, so many areas of our lives will be enhanced. We are reminded at the conclusion of the Divine Liturgy every Sunday that all good giving and every perfect gift is from above. How appropriate that the scholarship is dedicated to St. Gregory Palamas, a great theologian and defender of orthodoxy and our faith. May those who will receive this scholarship humbly walk in his footsteps. I'd like to conclude this evening with a prayer for our beloved parish and for the Doctors Kales. Let us pray. O bountiful Lord, the giver of all good gifts, we thank you for the many blessings we have. And we especially glorify you for your servants, Anthony and Joyce. Bless them, dear Lord, with all the joys of life, for health and strength. And bless the parishioners of Holy Trinity with cheerful hearts, ready wills, so that they may also be in service for others. To thee be glory forever. Amen.
Thank you, Father, for those words. At this point, I would like to invite my fellow parish council member and friend, John Poputsis. And I know many of you know John and his family through his faithful service to our church, but one thing you may not know is he was instrumental in working with Doctors Kales to get the gifts that have been left for us in a proper structure and properly communicated and in a good order, so that people can always trust that they know if they choose to enhance these gifts with their own contributions, that the money is well cared for and taken care of. So, John.
Thank you, George. Good evening, Father Michael, Father Aaron, Dr. Kales, and fellow parishioners. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves. I was one of the recipients of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship in 1986. In 1998, my wife, Maria, was a recipient of an award from the Hellenic Medical Society of New York, which was sponsored by Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales. We are here this evening to not only personally thank Doctors Kales, but also express ourselves as part of our Holy Trinity community. Growing up in the Holy Trinity community, it was easy to see and be a part of the influences of both Dr. Kales. They were both, of course, very involved in our church activities and church ministries. They were especially invested in the welfare of our youth. Dr. Joyce Kales was my Sunday school teacher for at least 1 year. I say at least 1 year because I specifically remember one moment during one class when I was 15 or 16 years old. Dr. Kales asked the class, "Why is Orthodox Christianity unique? Why do we say this is the true Christian church?" She then looked at me and asked, "John, what do you think?" So I was a little shy back then. So I quickly responded, "Oh, I think it's because of our creed. That makes our church unique." She then asked me, "Why do you say that?" Since I hadn't given my answer much thought, I certainly had no immediate thoughts regarding the reason for my answer. I don't remember what I said, but I was hoping that Dr. Kales would move on to the next student. She did, and the next student then expressed that our Orthodox Church is unique because it is so old. This sparked a deeper discussion in the class regarding the origins of our Orthodox faith and how we continue to uphold the true faith as Orthodox Christians. This Sunday school discussion has stayed with me through the years. To this day, when I reflect on our faith and when I look for deeper meanings, I occasionally reflect back to that moment when for the first time I had realized how deep our traditions are rooted and how rich our faith has developed since the times of Christ and the apostles. It may seem like a simple Sunday school discussion, but it's amazing how something so simple and brief can leave lasting impressions. Dr. Anthony Kales and I interacted at length almost 8, 9, or 10 years ago when the Parish Council was creating and drafting the trust documents for our endowment funds. Since the Dr. Kales had originated several of our endowments, our regular conversations allowed me to better understand and appreciate the purposes of each individual endowment. What I really enjoyed, however, was talking with Dr. Kales. Our conversations would always go beyond the topic of the endowments. He would tell me stories about Holy Trinity and would emphasize how important it is to respect those who came before us. We would talk about raising children, how family is so very important. And we would talk about the world, anything, current events, sports, education, my professional work. I would look forward to our conversations, and I still remember and cherish them to this day. Our son, George, who's here tonight, is a senior in high school, and he's applying to colleges. Since last May, when many COVID restrictions were lifted, our family, Maria, George, Nicholas, and I, have visited colleges from several states. It has become kind of a family journey where we've learned a lot about these schools and also learned a lot about ourselves. George has now begun the application process. The college applications, as you know, involve information regarding George's high school academic and extracurricular activities. They also involve written essays based on questions. One college application got my attention when it asked the question, what does it mean to be educated? George and I discussed this question, and of course, I went off on my own personal thoughts and world. What does it mean to be educated? My father would always say how it is important to get a good education. He would always say that. He was a Greek immigrant who came to this country at 16 years old. Education was important to him. He learned the English language. He graduated from an American high school, and he served in the United States Army. All of this was done in the context of he and his parents and his brothers and his sisters adjusting to a new life in a new country. Different ways of communicating, different methods of expression, different cultural norms. He and his immigrant family adjusted and changed so they could thrive in a new reality. Isn't that what it means to be educated? Not only school and learned education, but also adapting to change with an open mind and with the ability to understand beyond ourselves. This is exactly what the Dr. Kales did over 40 years ago. With open minds and hearts, and with a desire to help educate our church community, they looked beyond themselves by making their vision a reality with the creation of our endowment funds. I believe this is their contribution. This is their legacy. They reached beyond themselves, and by doing so, they have helped our children and our community and will be helping future generations for years to come. We thank you for this, and we hope God continues to bless you and your family. Thank you.
So we will wait for dinner to be served, and then after dinner is served, we'll have a few more speakers. So enjoy your dinner. So hello again, everybody. So a fun and unexpected part of this evening has been, not only did we have one special occasion, but we have a second special occasion to celebrate. So tonight is a wedding anniversary, but not just a wedding anniversary, a 50th wedding anniversary for Bill and Sophia Kotsalos. Congratulations. We wish you many, many more in good health. That's amazing. Wonderful. Thank you. So on the program, it lists, there's a lot of things that go back and forth, and every once in a while mistakes are made. So we have listed Dr. Phelps as a speaker, and that is incorrect. In his place, my good friend Nick Geekus will speak. Nick, is that good? No? Yeah. All right. No, just kidding. Actually, our next speaker will be Dr. Alex Vonzas. He is the professor of the Anthony Kales, MD, University Chair in Sleep Disorders and Medicine. Dr. Vonzas, welcome.
Thank you, and I'm very happy to be with all of you, and of course, I'm very honored to speak about my dear professors and mentors, Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales. And speaking of anniversaries, you may not know it, but Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales, they came in this area in Central Pennsylvania from California in 1971. They were the founding fathers of the Department of Psychiatry at Hershey Medical Center and also the Sleep Center. So I'm sure also that we're celebrating with them the 50 years of a successful and progressive course of that department and the center. Well, I met Kales, Dr. Anthony Kales, December 1984. It was just about a month and a half from today. I think it was December 11. It was a dreary day, a cloudy day here in Pennsylvania. I got off the train at Elizabethtown. Another resident picked me up for the interview. I was applying for a position at the Department of Psychiatry as a first-year resident. I have finished my training in Greece and I want to pursue my career in the United States. The day was full of interviews going here and there, as you are all familiar. The last interview was with Dr. Anthony Kales. Well, I started waiting and waiting, looking at my watch. The time was moving. My train was leaving at 7 o'clock. I was worried, am I going to make it back to New York? I did not know anyone here. People were moving in and out, nervous. Finally, I had my interview with Dr. Anthony Kales. He was very warm. He welcomed me with a few Greek words. And he advised me to come to the place and he offered me the position. I left happy. I recall, the resident, he gave a specific order. Please take Alex to the restaurant because you take to the train. I said, no, Dr. Kales, there's no need for dinner. No, first dinner, then to the train. We barely made it to the train. It was, back then the Elizabethtown train station was in a bad shape. We could not find the darkness. Finally, I made it New York. Similar incidents occurred many times. But is this what Kales, Anthony Kales is? With the time, little things like that, they drop out, they disappear. And what remains is the big picture of a man and of a woman. What is the big picture of Anthony Kales and Joyce Kales? Anthony Kales is a giant of science. He's a big scientist. It has all the characteristics of a successful scientist. Hardworking, smart, intelligent, deep thinker, visionary, But above all, what I have gotten from him is his dedication to stick to the truth, to stick to the data. All other things you can see in many people. But Tony Kales is the kind of person that says, we need to find out what is the truth. No matter if it's popular, no matter if you're a minority, or if this is not like up to the majority. And you know, this comes also from what Christ said. Διώκετε την αλήθεια, αναζητείτε την αλήθεια και η αλήθεια ελευθερώσει εμάς. If I have made a mistake, Father Michael, please correct me. And because of that, his research accomplishments that you can read in the pamphlet that was distributed to you has passed the test of time. As I earlier said, his career started in 1963 at UCLA. He became quickly a professor. He came in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He was very young. He was one of the youngest chairs, 36, something like that. He has published many papers, and you know, many papers. There was a recent article by a famous researcher at Stanford University, and he found out that many papers that you read in science 20 years after, they don't have any impact in science. They cannot even be replicated. But Tony Kales' work has been replicated because of that primary principle. Stick to the truth, stick to the data. And that is not only for science, it's for life. A second characteristic of Anthony's and Joyce Kales is their care for their family. Tony Kales didn't care only for his immediate family, but for the people that his parents left behind in Albania. Many times he will ask me to his office to help him with translation, to communicate with them after Albania became part of the free world. He cared for the community. He's a philanthropist. All these accomplishments, it's right there. Allow me, however, to speak about this aspect, this dimension of Dr. Anthony Kales in a more personal way. In 1995, I and my two daughters lost our wife and mother, Tasia Philip Gonzas. Tony Kales was there from the very first moment. He was supportive, he was emotional, he was next to us, he was a big hand in our shoulder. My daughters, since then, didn't call them Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales. They will call them Uncle Tony and Aunt Joyce. And still, when we talk about them, they don't say Dr. Kales, they say Uncle Tony and Aunt Joyce. And you know, Anthony Kales, even in the most difficult, the most sad moments, they try to make something good out of it. And I recall he said, we're deeply saddened for our big loss. And he said, and he talked about the people of the community, Tasia has done so many good things for the Greek school. I want to establish an endowment for the Greek school in the name. And this endowment of the Greek school still exists and carries the name of Tasia. As we all know, Dr. Kales, and I'm referring to him, Dr. Anthony Kales, because he was my mentor and my professor, is a person we know that has strong convictions, strong ideas, strong wills, strong opinions. I don't know if anyone is from Epiro, we call it Epirotiko kefali, in a good sense. So not unexpectedly, he get disagreements, not only with his antagonist, but also within the colleagues, within the scientific family. You know, disagreements, a difference of opinions is frequent in academic. So it happened in his career. It happens to all of us who are in this world of academia. But I'll give you two examples to show you how his influence goes beyond those that they received the scholarship, those beyond that they received the endowed chair of sleep disorders medicine, and this is myself. His influence and his example goes even to those that at some point they fought. Two examples. A postdoctoral fellow of his by the name Martin Saff left at some point. Years go by, I never met this person. I have heard him just by story. This scientist, at some point, he discovered medication. So the drug company said, Dr. Sarf, we want to make a donation to honor you. Tell us where. And you know which place did he choose, this man? The Sleep Research and Treatment Center at Hershey Medical Center. This is after many years after they have been apart. So despite their disagreement, despite their fights, this man, after so many years, he wants to honor the only one mentor, who is Anthony Kales. A more recent example, another young medical student in the 1970s, I never met him, Dennis Charney. He's now a famous professor of psychiatry. He's a dean of a famous school, Mount Sinai in New York. He's the dean there for many years and very successful. Tony Kales want to keep him here, but this young man, this young student decided to go to Yale and then to follow his career. So a couple of years ago, 50 years after, these announcements came. Dennis Charney, now dean of the Mount Sinai Medical School, made a significant donation to the medical center, honoring his mentor, Anthony Kales. So he established the annual Anthony Kales lectureship. So you see, these people, they left the students from here. Years went by, almost 50 years, and they got his advice, they got his wisdom, but didn't get any scholars from him, didn't get, as myself, the endowed chair. And still they remember him. They consider him the mentor, the one mentor that they had in their life. These real examples shows who is Anthony Kales. About his accomplishments, you can see them there, but these examples I'm referring show his character, his long influence. And there is a saying that the influence of a teacher, the influence of a mentor goes far beyond when he's a teacher and professor, goes far beyond the biological age. It's like the impact, the influence of our parents go far beyond our biological age. And I think that applies to my dear mentors and professors, Tony Kales. I didn't say that many things about Joyce Kales because my interaction at the scientific level was with Tony Kales. We wrote many papers. He taught me how to write. I didn't know how to write. He taught me how to think scientifically. And, you know, I think he must be proud and happy that the center, the sleep center that he established 50 years ago is still a beacon in the world field of sleep medicine. Joyce Kales, an accomplished professor, degree in pharmacy, in medicine, in psychiatry, in sleep, in community, in all of that. But above all, an intelligent and empathic psychiatrist, a sweet person. Without her support, Tony Kales and the entire family, Stefanos, Eleni, and Jim, would not have been what they are today. I want to confess that I owe a lot to Anthony and Joyce Kales. I owe a lot to Kales family. Every time we sit in our table, yesterday I was with my girls in New York, Angeliki and Antina, and I told them about the event. When I'm with Maria and Nikos, we always talked about the Kales family. Unfortunately, we don't see them a lot, but their presence, their influence is always there. In this regard, I would like to thank them forever for what they have done for me and my family and for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valencias. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Stephanie Diamond.
Thanks for asking me to speak tonight. I'll be brief. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight and to honor Doctors Joyce and Anthony Kales. Takes me back to the late 70s and early 80s when I was in high school as a teenager, and the Kales, especially Dr. Joyce, as John was talking about earlier, was one of the Sunday school teachers. And they were very kind of interested in helping us to prepare to become adults. And we would, in our Sunday school classes, talk about a lot of the issues that we would face as an adult, and wanted to try and help us navigate that in staying true to our Orthodox faith. So I remember actually wanting to go to those Sunday school classes because, you know, we would always spark debate, and it would be very interactive. Then as I graduated high school, I was honored to be a recipient of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship. Of course, every little bit helped in those days, you know, trying to manage the college expenses, and then actually med school too. But I was fortunate to enter medical school at Hershey Medical Center. Of course, Dr. Anthony was the head of psychiatry at that time, and Dr. Joyce was also on staff. And I was a newbie because no one in my family was ever in medicine. So I was pretty, you know, naive. I was telling Katie earlier, who spoke, that she's in her first year at Hershey. But I remember Dr. Joyce, before classes started, she had me in her office, and, you know, I was sitting there, and she said, now, you know, you're going to have to work really, really hard and study really, really hard. And I said, I will, I will, I will. You know, I didn't want to let them down or my parents down, or certainly, you know, I knew that I was going to be dedicated and devoted. And all through my training at Hershey, they were there for me. They, you know, nurtured me. They served as role models and mentors. And I also worked in the sleep lab, so I got to know a little bit about what Dr. Anthony Kales' research was all about. So congratulations to you both for your many years of dedication to your family, your church, to the field of medicine, and to your divine God. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. I'd like to invite Dr. George Zanis up. Dr. George.
Good evening. Let me take a moment because I'm not used to seeing three-dimensional people in front of me. For the past couple of years, I've been used to, you know, Zoom, Teams, and the internet, and I'm looking at this three-dimensional audience, and it's great, actually, because while I know I don't recognize everybody, there's people out there who know me, and I know them, and years have gone by, and I've recognized a few of you. There's Nick Geekus, right? Nick, not Deep. So this is a lot of fun. I want to start off by saying the one thing I don't want to forget to say, and that is thank you. And thank you to Dr. Kales for the contributions that you've made to our community, but also very personally. But I want to reflect for a moment about our community. We stand now, or sit, not too far from the first church I knew in Harrisburg, which was around the corner here. I think the building's gone, and it was the most scary place I'd ever been in my life. I don't know what it was before it became a Greek Orthodox church, but it had a pyramid with an eye and that eye was looking at me all the time. And to me, that meant something really significant, but I didn't know what. And but the community that emerged from that tiny little church that now sits in that beautiful plot on the West Shore, where we have relics of that old church there, which I saw recently and really took me back, just makes me think about the strength of our community and what it takes to have such a strong community. And so while I'm thanking Dr. Kales, who came into our world sometime after, I began to feel part of this community, and sort of, I guess I felt intentionally became a part of this community, and not just intentionally, but thoughtfully, with a vision of what he could do to strengthen this community and to keep it going. Imagine what our great grandfathers thought and grandfathers thought and fathers thought, for those of you who are newer generation, when they came to this country. Would the traditions and the culture and the sense of community persist? In many cases, it was created by people who are not here in the room, who've gone, who added their contribution. For me personally, Anthony Kales said something to me. Well, I don't know if he said something to me, but at a point in my career where I was the most improbable medical student that ever lived, he didn't laugh when we had a conversation about what it might take to get into medical school. And just that, because I was expecting that, was enough to just give me a boost. And since then, I didn't know anything about his contributions to science, which are kind of amazing foundational contributions to a part of human physiology that really wasn't thought about as medicine until people from his generation put together sleep medicine. It's kind of an amazing contribution, science, doctor, mentor, kind of impressive. So thank you, Dr. Kales.
And next we'll hear from the birthday girl herself, Mrs. Talumis. Got it.
Oh my goodness, now that everybody knows how old I am, I can't even say anything. I very honored tonight to be able to be here after a long time moving away from the community. I was born and raised here in Harrisburg. My 4 children were born and raised here in Harrisburg, and Holy Trinity is my home and most beloved parish. But now I'm in Pittsburgh with my children. My youngest daughter, I live with them. And Father John Talumis is my son at Holy Trinity, also in Pittsburgh. So I have lots of priests. I have a priest son-in-law in Orange, Connecticut, Father Peter Ofanakos, who is married to my daughter, Evangelia Vanji. And anyway, I'm really honored to be here tonight because Doctor, I'm so used to saying father because I have so many priests in the family. Dr. Kales and Anthony and Joyce have always been just not only the high offices and the high places that they hold in life and so many things they've done for everybody. They've really been really just down to earth people like you and I. And it's just marvelous, the accomplishments that they have done and have established. So back in 1981, when I became the first female president of the church during the consecration year, I got to meet Drs. Kales and both of them. And we went into, and also serving at that time as beloved Father George Zaskalakis, who was also a beloved and wonderful spiritual father at the time. And we worked together very closely with a lot of these programs that Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales wanted to establish. And we were just so honored. And I'm saying today that I hope that all parishes, all the people who have gone through this parish and have received those beautiful gifts from so many years. I'm talking about 1981. That is like 40 years ago that they started established these endowments. And that is just a wonderful, wonderful, precious gift to treasure and let your children and your families know what these people have done for us. And I thank you, Drs. Kales. Love you very much, and be safe and happy where you are with your family.
Thank you, Georgia. Now we're going to have remarks from some scholarship recipients. The first one will be live, the last one will be Zoom, and there are some pre-recorded messages in between. So first live, we'll have Otto Wallenmeyer.
Thank you, Uncle George. Good evening, everybody. I will do my best to keep my remarks short this evening. Certainly, my predecessors have covered much in their words, their thanks, their gratitude, but allow me to at least preface with such. My gratitude certainly far exceeds any words that I could express. So allow me to start both with a word of thanks to Drs. Kales. And certainly, I'm sure I'll be thanking you many more times throughout the evening. But as previously noted, my name is Otto Wallenmeyer. I was blessed and honored to be a Three Hierarchs Scholarship recipient in 2012 after graduating from West Perry High School. I've been a member of Holy Trinity's community all of my 27 years of living. And for those of you that have seen my Big Fat Greek Wedding, perhaps the most ever quoted movie about Greeks that I can think of, as I've grown, I've truly realized now more than ever, it was truly my lucky day to be baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church. Growing up in this community has given me blessings beyond measure and has extended my own Big Fat Greek family far larger than just my immediate family. And that certainly, of course, extends to both Drs. Kales, and it shows through their philanthropy and their generosity. The Three Hierarchs Scholarship at Holy Trinity gave me the opportunity to attend college, which was a big deal in my family. My father was not able to graduate college. I was the first of his line to be able to not only attend, but also graduate. I attended Shippensburg University of Pennsylvania, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer engineering. From there, I was fortunate enough to be able to secure a position and now my career at TE Connectivity in Middletown. Now, how does the rest of this butterfly effect play out? I am soon to be wedded in 7 months, and I now own a house. These are the hallmarks of what so many of us and our forefathers attributed as the American dream. And certainly, this would not have been possible without the generosity and the philanthropy of Drs. Kales. So my second thank you of the evening, thank you. Now, if I may put a plug in, our community has always been very passionate about the gifts of stewardship and what they do to this community. Every little bit is huge and every little bit helps. When we are given the spiritual gifts that our faith and our church community provide for us, in the grand picture, stewardship, gifts of the financial nature, while they may seem small, perhaps, consider, again, the butterfly effect, how it manifests itself and grows over time and what it's able to do for those of us in the community. Now, as John had previously mentioned, he asked, what does it mean to be educated? Now, I will take a little bit of a different spin and consider, what does education do for us? Allow me to take the opportunity to answer that on my own. Education gives us the ability to expand our minds beyond our limited worldviews and use our God-given talents to better the lives of those around us. Provides alternate viewpoints and the rich gift of knowledge, which for many was locked away. It allows us the tools to grow our God-given talents and provide rich experience in a world that never stops growing and never stops moving. Whether it's a trade, whether it's higher education, a new language, a new skill, it does not matter. We never stop learning. We always have the ability to grow, and education gives us that continual feedback of rich growth in an otherwise certainly hectic world. So one thing I will put in, I guess, that is not always considered. Not only does education provide these gifts, but consider the hoops that we have to jump through to be able to get education. I grew up in a middle-class family. Certainly, I grew up with no wants. But the ability to pay for my secondary education, to pay for college, was not an easy one. And certainly the gifts, the generosity that the Three Hierarchs Scholarship was able to provide for me, it made a very real and lasting impact on my life, and has allowed me to grow and become the person that I am today. And I can only hope that if I can help even a fraction of the people that Doctors Kales have been able to help through their many years of generosity, and if I am able to enrich the life of at least one other person around me, I will certainly attribute that gift, that blessing, that success to what Doctors Kales were able to provide for me. So again, Doctors Kales, thank you both for establishing this scholarship and providing other young adults such as myself the opportunity to get a leg up in this world and starting to establish my own path. And may I be able to help at least some in the way that you have been able to help me. Thank you.
Greetings from Charlottesville, Virginia. My name is Peter Harbillis. I'm the son of John and Kathy Harbillis. I grew up attending Holy Trinity in the 1990s and early 2000s and graduated from Cumberland Valley High School in 2004. I am also a four-time recipient of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship and attended Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. I'm excited to join you this evening, albeit virtually, to honor the Kales for their significant impact on Holy Trinity and to personally thank them for the scholarships my sisters, Tina and Amy, and I received. When I graduated from high school, I earned a handful of scholarships, but the Three Hierarchs Scholarship stood out to me for a few reasons. First, there is not just one winner. The scholarship can be earned by multiple high-achieving students in our church community without having to compete against each other. Second, students can reapply while attending college. The other scholarships I received when graduating from high school were one-time awards. Lastly, I appreciated that the scholarship was for and sponsored by members of our church. I've been living in Charlottesville, Virginia since graduating from Washington and Lee in 2008, but I'm pleased to know that current students at Holy Trinity continue to have this opportunity. In closing, I'd like to thank the Kales once again for everything they have done for Holy Trinity, and more importantly, for setting an exceptional example for us all to follow. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Evan Zanis. I am the Executive Vice President of Research and Development at Neuroactive Therapeutics. While I cannot be with you live in person, I felt it was important to share my thoughts and my gratitude to the Kales family on this night that we honor Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales. As they say, there is no I in the word team. We achieve things in life because of other people's help. I must thank the Kales, who influenced me in a way that would literally mean I would not be where I am without them. Firstly, Dr. Anthony Kales, and some of my early childhood memories include those of the Goya basketball team, his coaching, teaching teamwork, working together to achieve success. Mostly we achieve success, but most importantly, how to be a leader, early leadership skills, an important life skill. Later in life, as a young kid at university, I was a little lost. My academic and professional objectives were not clear. Dr. Anthony and Joyce Kales would impact my future in a significant and positive way. Needing to take a little bit of time away from school, my father had a discussion with Dr. Kales, and I soon found myself in Dr. Kales' office. Yes, on a couch, not for a psychiatric discussion, which may have been my first impression, but to discuss my near-term work, supporting the Department of Psychiatry at Penn State Hershey Medical Center as a research assistant under the direction of Dr. Edward Bixler. I can honestly tell you that at the time, I was lost, lacking true passion for what I wanted to do when I grew up. Through the experience in the Department of Psychiatry, I became aware of medical research, design, execution, and analysis of clinical research, and a passion for the experimental method and the neurosciences. Taking my research experience with both Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales back to school, I would add psychology as a major, become successful both academically and professionally. As I reflect on the impact that the Kales family had on my life, and specifically the back half of my career, let me just share how this story played out. I graduated from Villanova in 1993, went to graduate school in 1994 at the University of Vermont. I would move on to my first pharmaceutical development job in 1997. I would obtain multiple patents, have over 100 publications and presentations, including 2 New England Journal of Medicine articles. Professionally, I would have roles of increasing responsibilities at Wyeth, Pfizer, Endo, Paratech Pharmaceuticals, and now Neuractive Therapeutics. On this journey, today I am a C-suite executive, having done this for multiple companies, having been involved in the approval of 10 products that have helped millions of patients globally. All of this made through the support of the Kales family. In closing, I'd like to say thank you. This has truly been an honor for me to share my story and my thanks. Have a great night.
Good evening, everyone. In honor of Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales, I would like to express my gratitude for their great influence in my life. I am sincerely sorry that I cannot be there in person to do so, but I hope this video will capture the spirit of what they have done and the influence they've had on my life. I am forever grateful. I consider them almost like a second set of parents or godparents for their influence and their guidance. My parents provided me with the means to go to school, and the Kales family showed me the road that I needed to travel to achieve my goals. Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales helped me with everything from preparing for the SATs, recommendation letters, college applications. I mean, they truly took the time and the energy to give me the tools that I needed to get to where I am today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. You made a lasting impression. I promised myself that I would also become a mentor such as yourselves. So your spirit will continue to live on. Thank you for honoring me as one of the recipients of your Three Hierarchs Awards. I am grateful, and as I said, I will keep it constantly in my heart. Thank you. As I wish you much love, thanks, and may God bless you with much health and happiness. Bye-bye.
Dr. Anthony and Dr. Joyce, I'm sorry that I could not be there in person, but I feel very privileged to say a few words tonight, recognizing your vast contributions to the Holy Trinity community of Harrisburg. You are both always such a seminal force for education and progress in our community, always inspiring and leading by your example. Your generosity in setting up scholarships and educational endowment funds was unmatched. Your focus was always to take the blessings God bestowed upon you and share with others, financially supporting and mentoring the youth of our community to go after their dreams. I myself am a direct product of those efforts. You both always took a personal interest in my education and encouraged academic excellence. Throughout my high school and college years, you exposed me to clinical research in medicine, which influenced me to pursue a career as a physician myself. Dr. Anthony, despite your busy academic career, pioneering sleep research, and chairing the Department of Psychiatry at Penn State, you found the time to mentor me on things like SAT preparation and even choice of schools. Dr. Joyce, I always remember you as Dr. Anthony's equal, having your own distinguished career in research and clinical psychiatry. It is only now that I am a mother myself that I can fully appreciate your strength and determination in balancing a successful career and family. Your example always resonates with me to this day. I offer my sincere and heartfelt thanks to both of you. Your legacy will continue through the many individuals like myself that you have personally supported and inspired. I pray that God will continue to bless you and your family with many more years of good health and happiness. Thank you.
I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of this special occasion, celebrating the wonderful contributions and legacy of Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales. The author, Bob Proctor, writes that a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you, more than you see in yourself, and helps bring it out of you. This perfectly describes the roles that both Dr. Joyce and Dr. Anthony had throughout my youth. Whether it was studying for the SATs or exploring college options, the Kaleses mentored us as if we were their own children. It was with that devotion to the importance of higher education, in addition to their encouragement, tutelage, and guidance, that helped me achieve my academic goals. It is hard to believe that 30 years ago, I was the recipient of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship, which I received throughout my 4 years of college. I feel fortunate and grateful that I was among the many recipients of this generous scholarship and patronage. Your support, your influence, and your guidance was an indelible part of my journey. I am honored to be a part of this legacy, and I count myself lucky to have had your mentorship and support. Thank you, Dr. Joyce and Dr. Anthony Kales, and congratulations.
I think you have Dr. Thana Theophanis on Zoom.
Yep. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm glad I could join you virtually tonight. My name's Thana Theophanis. I'm the daughter of Nick and Clara Theophanis. Currently live in Villanova, Pennsylvania, where I'm joining you from tonight. And I grew up very involved in the Holy Trinity community. And as a Three Hierarchs Scholarship recipient myself, I am extremely grateful for the generosity and philanthropy of Drs. Joyce and Anthony Kales. The impact they've made on our community really speaks for itself. And personally, in pursuing a career in medicine, I remember I remember working in the sleep lab with Dr. Vodas. I met Dr. Kales at that time. I remember having some good phone conversations with him and him having a very impactful impact on me with applying to medical school and my career moving forward. And I think, now that I've finished my training, looking back in medicine, you remember specific people who have made an impact on your career, both personally and professionally. And Dr. Kales is certainly one of those people. And especially in medicine, you realize that how valuable, the most valuable thing is your time. And the fact that the Kales have so selflessly dedicated their time to our community, in addition to their generosity and philanthropy, is really incredible. So thank you so much.
So thank you. I realize the program didn't have all the detail in it. So let me just share. After Peter Harbilas and Evan Zanis were Maria Kyriakopoulos Korpas, and then the two Daskalakis daughters, Nikki and Chrysula. So at this point, I'd like to get on to the highlight of our evening. So before we hear from Doctors Kales themselves, I'd like to invite Father Michael Varvarelis to offer a few remarks and to present an award to the Doctors Kales which will be received by Dr. Stephanos Kales. Father Michael. Of course.
Good evening. What an evening. It's sometimes we priests are very naive. I had not a clue that they were teaching, both of them, Sunday school. So the question is, what is happening with our faith and church? This morning, I saw a cartoon. So you see those two people visiting and knocking on the door, and they have the Holy Scripture and said, when the door opened to the lady, do you want to find Christ? And the lady is, I'm an Orthodox, we never lost him. So good. Okay. So, dear Doctors Joyce and Anthony Kales, Father Aaron, Mr. George Panos, Master of Ceremonies, Helen, Mrs. Janice, what an incredible job. Dr. Stephanos Kales, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to join the previous unique, excellent individuals who benefited from the vocation, ministry, and initiatives of Dr. Kales to join them in recognizing the impact these scientists, professional, Christian, faithful, and responsible individuals, as the Kales are, have made and contributed. Also to join the previous speakers in acknowledging our gratitude and deep appreciation to Dr. Kales. I humbly would like to extend my deep appreciation to Drs. Joyce and Anthony for their sacrifices and initiatives when back in the 80s, these blessed scientists helped our local parish at Holy Trinity, working together with the priest, Father George Daskalakis, and Parish Council President, Mr. George Touloumes, to financially support and strategically initiate ministries which serve the needs of the community and involved our people and faithful in advancing the life of a caring, loving, and Christian community. The Three Hierarchs Scholarship Endowed Fund was initiated along with other ministries, St. Joachim and Anna Endowment, Senior Citizens Fund, St. Eleftherios and Stylianos Endowment, Joy Fund, St. Gregory Palamas Endowment, Holy Cross Seminary Fund, and St. Cosmas Etolos Endowment Greek School Fund. Also the Kales, by attending and receiving the excellent education they know firsthand the financial obligations of the student to pay for studying in any field of higher education. I just want to say my second son is a doctor, a nephrologist, a kidney doctor. And when he finished his studies, he said, Dad, my debt is $600,000. I supported him only for college, but not afterwards, 600,000. It was, for me, an astronomical amount of money, but this is what is happening. So the Kales provided the vision of initiating and endowing the scholarship program of our high school graduates. Back then, in the early 80s, there were no scholarship programs established at Holy Trinity. That is how the focus came to the students, and that is how our community extended a helping hand, encouraging our young people to pursue their studies by receiving support and good financial help. Another point that I came to understand is that the Kales found time in their so hectic schedules to also become mentors to the graduating students who received their scholarship. The Kales wanted to have the recipients become scholars, make responsible choices in their studies, believe in their education field, become the best in their specialty, and shoot for the stars. And they did it. I mean, just hearing the recipients, so my goodness, what a difference they made in their lives. All these were offered under the umbrella of the church. That is very significant. All this under the blessing of the Lord. All this under the Christian conscience and work ethic to benefit oneself and the people who needed this expertise. Isn't it the center of our lives, Christ? Isn't it the church that blesses our initiatives and provisions? Isn't it that we do whatever good we do for the holy name of Christ to be glorified? And that is crucial for us as Greek Orthodox. I want to thank you, Dr. Kales, for making us look deeper in our abilities, in our faith, in our responsibility to benefit our families and our community. 2 more points, and allow me, please. One, in the recent history of Greece, we observe some great benefactors like Nicholas Stournaras, lived 1806 to 1853. Michael Michalis Tositsas, 1787-1856. And George Averov, Avyerinos, and became Averov, 1815 to 1899. They came from the same area of the parents of Dr. Anthony Kales. They were from Metrovo, Epirus, Greece. Dr. Kales' parents are from Lesinica, northern Epirus, close by. And these great national benefactors established schools, paid teachers, helped the deprived, provided scholarships to the youth, renovated the Panathenaic Stadium in Athens for Greece to sponsor the first re-established Olympic Games, invested in the Arsakion University in Athens, and the engineering school of the Polytechnio in Athens, another major contribution, bought and liberated Greeks, sold in Turkish slavery bazaars, and much, much more. National great benefactors. Today, Dr. Kales are doing similar work in America, not only helping our local community of Holy Trinity, but also 2 more Greek Orthodox communities in America, that of St. Demetrius in Fort Lauderdale and St. Nicholas in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 1994, establishing the same programs we have of the Three Hierarchs Scholarship we have here at Holy Trinity. But also they contributed to the medical field advancement and sponsor chairs in university and much more. And just looking and reading about them, I was just saying, how can 1 person or 2 persons achieve all these things and attain all these things in just one life? It was amazing for me to see this happening. But just listen to Mr. Alexandros Orgas, that they are that type of people, read, study, but the intelligence they have, it's amazing. So for us, Dr. Kales, you are national great benefactors, and we hope and pray that you will be recognized in the upcoming days and years nationally, really. The second point, we as Christians of Greek descent have learned to recognize and say thanks, along with the inspiration to become imitators of individuals with good deeds in life. The Athenians, to express their gratitude to goddess Athena for her help and protection, they built her famous Parthenon temple in Acropolis. The 2 sons of the Agoras in Olympia during the Aegean Olympic Games, when both of them received the first place gold medal in the Olympic Games, they invited their father, the Agoras, to come down in the center of the stadium where they were, and then they placed their awarded crowns on his head, recognizing the cause of their victories and recognizing their gratitude for his coaching ability to them. It was a standing ovation, that moment there. Saint Sophia in Constantinople was built by Justinian the emperor back in the 6th century, 537 AD, and still is the most impressive temple worldwide. Saint Sophia Cathedral was built to express the gratitude of Byzantines to Christ, who is the Sophia, the wisdom of God. This evening, we recognize these great benefactors in our community simply to say thank you for the huge and tremendous impact you made to our community, and to say how proud we feel since you both were parishioners and continue your membership with our Holy Trinity Cathedral, along with your sons and daughter. We need good Samaritans. Christ commanded, go and do the same. The Good Samaritan endangered his life to save the wounded and dying traveler, and offered the medical assistance to him and provided him to stay in the hospital for complete recovery and healing. Our community, our society is in need today and tomorrow of good Samaritans. We recognize that today we find them in the person of Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales. We thank them, and we hope that their children will continue with this legacy. It is in their genes. Though I hope and pray that more good Samaritans may appear and continue to appear in our community and society today and tomorrow, the field of need is wide open, and we have witnessed that we have really a good, bright future in front of us. This evening, we'd like to symbolically present to you, Dr. Kales, two awards. One is a plaque, which will stay permanently with us at Holy Trinity Cathedral edifice in a special and appropriate place. The second is an icon of the patron saints that you, Dr. Kales, wisely gave to your scholarship, and will be delivered to you by your son, Dr. Stephanos and Nicholas Kales. The plaque reads, Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral is recognizing with deep gratitude the Doctors Anthony and Joyce Kales for their most generous, outstanding contributions in establishing and providing critical ministries in the life of our parish, and especially initiating and endowing the Three Hierarchs Scholarship program to benefit qualified students in our parish. Therefore, in gratitude and deep appreciation, the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral dedicates to them this plaque in their homes. I will not read this in Greek, but I would like to present it to Stephanos, to Dr. Stephanos Kales. this icon, the Holy Trinity Cathedral, the Holy Trinity Hierarchs icon originally was written, that's how we say written, painted, and made by Nun Olympias, the abbess of the Holy Protection Monastery, which is located just less than 2 hours away from us here in Harrisburg. Enjoy. Thank you. May God's blessings be always with you, Dr. Kales, with your children and grandchildren, with a prayer to continue your vision and work in benefiting people, churches, charitable organizations, schools, and our society. Thank you. Very grateful.
Father Varvarelis, President Spanos, Holy Trinity Community, Mrs. Zanis, Mr. Harbilis. On behalf of my entire family and my parents, I thank you very much. I won't steal my parents' thunder because like George said, in the St. Sophia game, my father could still bench me. And so let me be brief, but in my own career, I've had the privilege to travel all over the country, all over the world, and visit many communities, many Greek communities, many other communities. This is truly a wonderful community. The last time I was here was 1997 when my parents retired formally. And truly it's been too long. I've had a wonderful, wonderful visit, an amazing welcome from the community here, all of you over the last 2 days. It's been incredibly emotional, seeing all the things, hearing from so many people, Stephanie, the Daskalakis daughter, so many people that I grew up with, speaking to the legacy of my parents, and really appreciate it. But be proud as a community here. And Father, I will join. I promise that myself and my family will become stewards of this community because this is truly a great community. So even though we live in Boston, we will be happy and honored to join you. Let me just say one thing in closing is that, many of the speakers, many of the recipients, they spoke about mentors and mentorship. And, it's a Greek word, mentoras. And, not everyone can start a scholarship. Not everyone can be a great benefactor. But each and every one of you can be a mentor, whatever you are. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a scientist. You could be the owner of a restaurant, a gas station, whatever. You could give a kid a job. It's about taking people aside, taking them under your wing, and helping someone else. So each and every one of us, whether you received the scholarship in the past or not, you can pay it forward. You can do the same thing. You can be a mentor, and you'll do something great. And each and every one of us will contribute in our own way, but keep paying it forward. Thank you.
So at this point, live via Zoom, I'd like to invite Drs. Anthony and Joyce Kales to speak to us. Drs. Kales.
Joyce, do you want to go first?
Well, ladies first.
All right.
We really are very overwhelmed at this outpouring of gratitude and emotion toward the contributions that we've made to Holy Trinity over the course of many years. We have gotten to know many young people and took great pleasure in seeing their advancement, achieving their academic success, and becoming distinguished in their chosen careers. It's truly a kind of satisfaction that cannot be described. I want to say that I have been by my husband's side for what, 58 years?
No,
68 years.
yes.
Yes, I lost the 10 years. But I must say that much of this accomplishment is due to his extraordinary vision and his extraordinary ability to implement his vision and carry it out, and his dedication to helping young people and taking a personal interest. If anyone asked for his help, he would never just brush them off or give them a superficial kind of encouragement. When he got involved, he got involved. And that involvement has distinguished him really throughout his professional and his personal careers, and his incredible demonstration of being a father in his family life and now being a grandfather. Believe me, the kind of dedication that he's demonstrated to each of these young people who have spoken, he is now demonstrating to his grandchildren who are benefiting by his example and his encouragement. So I can only say thank you to everyone who has spoken today. Our hearts are full. And believe me, we have gained much reward and satisfaction from working with the community of Holy Trinity, of St. Nicholas and St. Demetrius. And we hope that there will be others who follow in our footsteps and pick up the baton and keep it going. Thank you.
Well, you heard from Joyce, and her words have moved me. We've been together for 68 years and married for 61. And I haven't known a person as extraordinary as my wife. And I'll start there, and I'll just move around a bit. A lot of people talked, and each one of them was so meaningful to us, but I'll start with Father Varvarelis, who I am so impressed with. My lifelong idol as a priest is Father George, was, is, and always will be. And I feel so pleased, so happy that the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community, while having a number of successors to Father George, has one that is in many respects a real, truly authentic replica of Father George. And I'll go back to what Father Varvarella said about the joke that the person said, I want to tell you about this joke. When did you lose, or when did you
want to find Christ?
Do you want to find Christ? Meaning the person doesn't have him and doesn't know how to get in the state of mind and of worshiping Christ and the Holy Trinity. And when I was 7 years old, 1941, I remember a group of people bringing my father home. They didn't have a stretcher. They were all, just holding his legs and his back and that, and they carried him into the house through the front room and took him to the master bedroom and put him down. I was in absolute chaos and turmoil. I thought my father was dead. Now, he wasn't dead. He turned out he had a mild heart attack. He passed out. They brought him home. And before you knew it, he was up and about. But of course, we put him back to bed. And Dr. Moisidis, a Greek physician, came over to the house. Dr. Moisidis, from that moment, became a mentor of mine. He was Greek. He was from Ionia. He had participated in the Pan-Hellenic Games in Anatolia. And he turned out to be able to go to the University of Michigan by selling himself to the authorities. He came over in 1912 on one of the last boats that left that area because the Balkan Wars were in progress. They said, "We don't recognize your university. We don't even know what it is." And Dr. Moisidis told them, "Look, I've been in Boston for a year. I've been working as a construction worker. I've saved up my money. Please let me enter the University of Michigan, and I will pay my own way. Please give me a job working for fraternity or whatever, doing cleanup, serving as a waiter, whatever you want. After the first semester, if I'm not at the top of your class, just tell me to go on my way and I will do that." Well, to make a long story short, he not only was at the top of his class, he graduated from the University of Michigan, and for 2 years, he was the AAU championship Greco-Roman wrestler in the United States. This man really did a job selling himself by underselling himself. There were no residencies there for all the doctors that are in the room or scholars that receive scholarship that are in medicine. We have Nick Theophanes, a daughter with comments. I want you to know that Nick Theophanes' daughter graduated, finished 7 years of neurosurgery residency. It's like being at the top of Mount Olympus with the Olympic torch or whatever, the champion of champions. What an honor for our community, for her family, and this is taking nothing away from all of the other outstanding people. But no one goes into a residency. First of all, it's very few people do. But to do it, you have to be awfully smart, awfully dedicated, come from a great family, and be ready to go to win the World Series 7 times in a row. So that's who Dr. Moisidis was. There were no residencies at that time. But Dr. Moisidis, when I wrote up he became my mentor, period. A Greek man, that was worshiped by all of the community. And he came, when I wrote up his history, Dr. Moisides said at a benefit dinner that I didn't attend. I was in Pennsylvania at that time when he passed away. And Dr. Moisides, in this remarks that he made at St. Nicholas Church in Detroit, where I was baptized and Joyce and I were married, he made the comment that he had a steady regimen. First of all, he had a family, his mother, his brothers and sisters, and his aunt. There were 9 people altogether. And where were they when he first came to America? They were hiding in the attic of the home of a Turkish family that had befriended them, and they befriended the family. And they hid this Dr. Moisides' family there for almost 10 years before he brought them to the United States. Well, he had finished his residence, his medical school, and he was a family doctor. But how did he end up delivering over 5,000 babies, mostly Greek infants, Greek Americans? How did he do over 5,000 tonsillectomies and over 5,000 appendectomies?
He did her herniorrhaphies.
Herniorrhaphies. I mean, this man was qualified to be a surgeon
But he went
and
to
an
learn.
obstetrician, but how he did it was, he said to the audience, in the morning, I worked to make my living, to support myself and continue supporting my mother and all brothers and sisters and aunt and whatever, the 10 people. And then in the afternoon, I saved that money and I go to the Mayo Clinic, the Leahy Clinic in Boston, and the Cleveland Clinic was his favorite because it was closer by. And he would watch these people, and I guess he was allowed to participate in operations as an assistant, and he learned these skills. He delivered me. I was the only one of about 15 cousins and in the city, first cousins, and he delivered me in our home because my mother just came to delivery very quickly and there was no time to go to the hospital. He delivered all of my cousins in the hospital, Memorial Hospital in Detroit. Now, he sat us all down. I was a 7-year-old child. I was, before that, happy as a lark. I did very well in school. Fortunately, I didn't have the problems my brother and all of my older cousins had of speaking Greek originally and starting school without knowing rudimentary English. I didn't have that problem. I was blessed in that regard. It just happened to miss that. I was so happy at home. The only problem I had was I didn't see my father very much because he and my Uncle Gregory had 6 businesses that they ran. And they were running them. And in 1929, when my father went back to Greece and married my mother, who happened to be my uncle's sister, the Partalis family. When he came back, that year is when the depression occurred, and it didn't occur as something gradual with moderate or mild effects. It occurred with, it hit the country and the world like a tsunami. They closed immediately 4 of their businesses. My uncles kept my 3 Partalis brothers kept the one tavern open that was in the heart of the city and was predominantly or almost 100% Black African-American people. And my father brought his brother in, and they had the other tavern, and they lived a great life. And I never knew until later when, after my father got sick and he started, and when I was 15, he started taking me once a year, and we traveled around on the DSR, meaning bus, all around Detroit. Well, I guess I use the word, since our son Stephanos reminded me of it with his comments, he mentored me. And he said, you know, it's been, when I was 15, it was eight years. He said, it's 8 years since I got sick. I don't have any symptoms, but you know, I haven't been able to work. Dr. Moisedes won't let me. He tells me if I go back to work and go in this crowded, busy, hectic bar, I'm likely to fall over and die on the spot. So he said, here's the kind of things you have to do. He talked to me, well, your mother is running the business. She's not going to be able to, if she needs support, to get it from your uncle. He just isn't gifted enough to do that. He doesn't know how to do the inventory. He doesn't know how to close up the bar and check out the cash register. You're going to have to, if I pass away, you're going to have to get up when your mother calls you at 1:45 and says, it's time to get up. I'm letting everybody know in the bar that they have to be out of here at 2:30, and you and I you have to clean up the bar. You have to mop the floor. If the regular person isn't going to show up in the morning, you're going to have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to learn how to check out the cash register and so forth. Sort of be a mini accountant. I told her I can't do that. And I don't really want to get up at 1:45 in the morning. And my mother said to me, you don't want to get up at 1:45 in the morning, and you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that. Well, I want to tell you something. Working 68 hours a week in this business, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I always joke around and tell people that Sunday's my day off because I only work 8 hours on Sunday. I have 2 hours less. I don't like to work 68 hours. I don't like to be up until 3:30 in the morning by the time I get, ready to go to bed and so on. But I do it because I'm holding the family together. Unbeknownst to me, My father had told me on one of our yearly 2 or 3 hour excursion riding these buses that he had money put away. He and my uncle each saved, in retrospect, I found out, $250,000. Two uneducated people who had only finished the 7th grade in school. The 7th grade, that's when they were told, well, now you've graduated from school. And in my father's case, his family said, we can't afford to have you here. You have to go work for an uncle in Patras and make your living. And when you start making more money, you send it back here so we can help get your sisters married. And you don't get married until all of them are married. Well, my dad ended up being 37 years old. And finally, my uncle Gregory said to him, my sister Dimitra is now 18 or 19 years old. She was 18 years younger than my father. And she was very, very smart. And he said to him, you're not going to find anybody brighter than your future wife, if that's the case. And she's not going to find anybody brighter than you. So, let's get going. And so he went back, and my mother described how horrible the wedding and everything went, because my grandfather on the Kales side was furious with him that he got married at such a early age. Okay, we go back now. When I lost there's a Freudian slip. I said, when I lost my father, well, I was 19 years old, but what I meant to say, when my father had his heart attack at my age 7, I didn't have Christ. Why? My parents really were quite religious. But nowadays you want to go to church, you get in your car and you go there, even if it's an hour away or half an hour away. But if it's a half an hour away and you go with your car, imagine what it would be like if you didn't have a car. None of my uncles and our family, none of us had a car until later on. In my case, my parents bought a car when I was 18 years old, when they found out I would come home at 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the morning when I was in college. And my father said, well, how do you get from Woodward, which was the main street, down State Fair for 1.5 miles at 1:30 in the morning? And I thought at that time stupidly said to him, well, what I do, and I said exactly what I did. I said, I run down the middle of the street because it's very dark for almost the entire 1.5 miles until you finish passing the state fairgrounds. And it's a little scary, I said, to go down the sidewalk walking or to go down the sidewalk running. And I said, nobody can catch me. I'm young, and I was always very, very fast, and I was a runner. And I thought, well, I'm getting pretty good exercise too. But really the motivation for running was running for my life. I was scared to death in the dark at 1:30 in the morning. So ending this important phase of my life, my father passed away when I was 19, one year short of when I got into medical school. But he knew he was disappointed, he said, because he wasn't a doctor himself. And the truth was, most of the people accepted the medical schools in those days with no difficulty were sons or daughters, mainly sons of physicians, because they had a problem admitting women. They didn't want to admit women. They felt it was a waste of time. And I told my father, well, you don't have to worry. I'm #1 in my class, #1 in my class. What I wanted to help people later on that were tops in their college class, a high school class. Then you didn't have to depend on anybody. You didn't have to have a father that was a doctor. So when Dr. Moisides said to my mother, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday, and I've thought about it, I would say at least once every day I get a flashback to them. And he said to my mother, Koritsimu, my daughter, today, when you got last night when you went to bed, you and your husband had 2 children to take care of. When you got up this morning, you didn't know it, but your husband was at work and he had this mild heart attack. And he said, from that time on, you are going to have 3 children to take care of, because your husband is fine for all intents and purposes. But if he goes in that environment, he could have a heart attack the next day. If these 2 boys, and he pointed to me and my brother, if they keep doing what normal kids do, run around, make noise, get into mischief, and he gets involved in that, he can have a heart attack over that. So he said, you 2 boys, she said, well, who's going to work? He said, you're going to work. Well, she said, I absolutely cannot work. I don't speak English well. I'm young. I've got 2 kids. There's no way I can work. Now, Dr. Moisides didn't know, and maybe she didn't know at that time, that they had plenty of money to hire someone else. So this is what happened. My mother went to work. If my mother had gone to work, that would have been the end of me and my brother. She was a superhero. She climbed mountains that the average person couldn't climb, and she didn't complain about it to anybody other than myself. My brother wouldn't tolerate it. She wasn't allowed to talk to my father that way because of the effect it would have on him. And she really was advised not to talk to me that way, but I was the only one, so she did talk to me. And it was clear that she was struggling. It was clear that it was hard. She did it for, when I left Detroit at 25 years of age, 1960, I had just married Joyce, and she worked another she worked another couple of years then, and finally then sold the business to somebody. But my point is, I didn't have Christ. I wasn't prepared for someone to tell me that my father was now basically a sick and handicapped person. There was no treatment for his condition. It was called malignant hypertension. And it killed everybody right away, or after a few years, or if you really took care of yourself. My father was a perfect patient. He walked. That was the only treatment he had, to walk. And the doctor told him, I want you to become a gardener. I want you to plant seeds, and I want you to develop patience watching these plants and crops grow in your yard. You gotta have a large yard, you have a large garden, you're going to love it. Well, he listened to my father listened to everything he said, and he became an incredible gardener, and he planted trees. And so how did I find Christ? I mean, I know that we're talking about a joke here, but it's not a joke for the person that has that problem. Well, I found it, first of all, through my mother. She had faith, she had inspiration. That schedule would have killed anybody else, but she did it, and she did it very, very well. And we made a lot of money from it, which went into the bank on top of all the other money. And then we found out at one point that they had all this money. And I said to my mother, for goodness sakes, sell the place. Now, who else did I find it in? This beautiful lady sitting next to me, my wife. I was in the second semester of the first year at Wayne State University, and I became literally in love with Joyce. And she reminded me a lot of my mother. She was serious, she was responsible, and, you know, this woman said to me at one point, you know, I don't remember how long it was in the marriage. And she said, well, you know, and I say, you know, I'm kind of surprised, I said, how well we're doing, you know, and this and that. And she said, well, why wouldn't we do well? And I said to her how lonely I was when my father got sick, because my father was around the house all the time, but I was not supposed to go to him and say, hey, you know, I have a problem, Dad. You know, this happened or that happened or whatever. He was the only one around, and he was walking most of the time. And when he'd come back, he'd go for a nap. I was alone in the house. Sometimes he would walk down and go at night to close the bar when all the other people had left. So he was very useful, but he wasn't available to me emotionally. My mother wasn't available to me because she was at the bar from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the morning. And so
you mentioned about the iconostasis of
yeah,
your house.
yes, and now what I started to do is I felt really lonely, really lost, and as Joyce said, I found the little chapel, the little iconostasis that my mother and father had set up in the house. It was appropriately a little bit high, and you could see these beautiful icons, a candle that was lit. It was a light that was lit to resemble a candle, and I used to get down on my hands and knees and pray. And so you say, well, why didn't I go to church? Well, we didn't have a car. The few times I went, it took literally an hour and a half to get to church and an hour and a half to get back. Then when other people started to have cars before us, I might go with one uncle and aunt or whatever, but it wasn't a regular thing. This became my church. I started to find Christ, and then I found Christ again through my mother and through my wife. So that's how I got started. And where does all the philanthropy come from? Well, first of all, I have a lot of friends, and many people will recognize the name Dr. Soldatos, who was like Dr. Vagonzas, came and trained with us. Dr. Soldatos had already trained as a psychiatrist, but came to be an assistant as a physician in the sleep lab with myself. And he said to me, well, you are the most generous person in the world. You're really a true Epirotan. And, meaning from the province of Epiros in Greece. And specifically, he said, a Vorio Epirotan, a northern Epirotan, which doesn't exist as a Greek area anymore, but is under the control of the Albanian communists and people. Vodio Epiros was either for 100 years, either under the control of Italy or Albania. So yes, and the fact is the people from Epiros don't have a true country. I've made it my country because I want to have a motherland. I want people to know I'm Greek. I want to know more and more about Greek, the Hellenism, the culture, the language, the you name it. And what does the Hellenism have in common with the Orthodoxy? Well, without Orthodoxy, Hellenism would be dead. I can't tell you how disappointing it is to me. And the older I get, the more it's going to happen. When I meet somebody that's Greek and is a generation behind me, like our three kids, Stephanos and Helen and Jim, Dimitri, they all can understand Greek. Stephanos speaks it extraordinarily well. My wife is able to understand Greek and speak it. But the more people we meet that are Greek, they know very little about it. And most of those people don't go to church. So, people say that priests in the past were like despots because they looked out mainly for themselves. Well, what would anybody do if you said, I'm an Orthodox priest and I'll be an Orthodox priest until I die? A Turkish person would say, yes, and I'm going to get you rapidly to the state where you're going to be dead because you want to remain an Orthodox. So yes, maybe not every priest fought valiantly for the cause of independence, but it was started in Patras by the priests there running up the Greek flag and starting the revolution. And that revolution was very, very, very positive for the Greek mentality. And it swayed the countries of France, Russia, and England, the Phil-Hellenes, to come to Greece's aid and lead to the end of the freedom. So there's a reason to link your culture and your heritage and Hellenism with Orthodoxy. Without one, the other would be very little. And similarly, if you switch it around, the other would be very little. So here we are, and this has been such a thrilling, satisfying evening for us, because so many of the people, we just emphasize the scholarship and this and that, but so many people got up tonight and talked about what they got out of it and the beauty of our Hellenism and our Orthodoxy, or the beauty of our Orthodoxy and our Hellenism. So, you know, that's where we're coming from, and it's really heartfelt appreciation that you presented this program tonight. So before we close, I would just want to say something. Georgia, I would appreciate it if you would stand up and everybody give her and Father George Daskalakis an incredible round of applause. We've worked with many churches. None of them come close. What is it that inspired us in this church? It's the people, our community. They love one another. And do they not do it in St. Nicholas at two churches in Ann Arbor and Detroit? Yes, to a degree. Do they not do it down here in Florida? Well, they're on their way to being like a Holy Trinity, and they're going to be rewarded for that, and have been and will be more until we have duplicated what we have in Harrisburg. So Georgia, without you and without Father George, we wouldn't be here this evening. You said you truly love us. We love you more. I can't tell you how many times I've said to my wife, you remember that great trip that Georgia put together? And we went down to the Kennedy Center on a bus. We didn't stay overnight. We came back. Was that right, Joyce? Okay. But on the way down and on the way back, our captain, our president, our leader, Georgia, just matter-of-factly said to everybody, here's your sheet music. We're going to start singing in 5 minutes, kind of go through it a little bit and get your best voice ready. What a time. What a wonderful friendship. What a wonderful way. What were we doing? Through these songs, we were trying to contribute part of our culture to the American culture, and we were using also American songs, and we were adjusting ourselves and acculturating ourselves to the American society. All Georgia, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you very, very much.
We're done.
No, we're not done. I want to just take a thing. The last thing is, where did we get our inspiration from? Well, I think it's the same for Joyce and I. We've never experienced the kind of love and interaction that's in the community at Holy Trinity. First of all, I don't know how many, I think most of you know, we've got a lot of Greek Americans that have been here a generation, the Geekuses, all of the ones that came earlier, and they were not primarily from Neohori, but then we have a huge part of the church that's newer Americans, newer Greek Americans, and those parts of the church get along very well. The Kotsoloses with the Geekuses, the so-and-so with so-and-so. This is a community that is really kind of split in the middle. And the people get along wonderfully. I can't tell you the wonderful times we had with the Geekuses, the two families, and their 5 basketball players. I have to put that in there because they contributed the most to our athletic programs. And people that who like us, Senator Geekus, they were first generation Americans like myself. And then you go to the wonderful families of people, the Malioses, the Kotsolos, you name it, different families that were from Neohori. And we ran different programs, scholarship, Goya, and all of those people were the same to us. They were all very loving and very caring. I can't tell you, Mrs. Evdokia Malios was there most of the time baking and doing things with the Philoptohos, and we were practicing basketball with the boys or girls, and she'd come out and say to me, "How are you? Can you use a few curambiedes? Could you use a few baklava? Come in here so you don't get it all over the floor." And we'd just stop practice and go in and have refreshments. What an angel. And then they had a night for us when we came back from one of the basketball tournaments, and we had a bunch of kids in our station wagon, and we drove up to the church. And when the church was like locked and to the hall, and we banged, and then they opened the door, and it was Mrs. Malios, and everybody was dressed up with king and queen hats, and they said, "You're our king and queen for the night." Where do you get this? This is where we were inspired over and over and over again. And I could talk for another 15 minutes, just not just about Father George and Presbytera Evangelia. You can't find anything better than that. And then guess what? You had several people who were priests after them, and for me, it was terrible. I felt they were resentful that I got along so well with Father George and Presbytera and all the community. And then who comes along? The one person that reminds Joyce and I over and over and over again, his beautiful family, his beautiful sermons in Greek and English, Father Varvarelis. This community is blessed, and we're blessed to be a part of it. And I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart, and so does Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Am I good now, Dr. Kales? Am I all right now? So thank you. Those were beautiful words and great stories and great reminiscing of all of it. I'm going to thank you, everybody, for just what I thought was an outstanding evening. I'm going to have Father Michael come up and offer the blessing before we leave, but I also want to ask committee members, when Father Michael is done, to just come up to the podium here so we can grab a quick picture of the committee. So,
Oh, that
Father
would be
Michael,
nice.
Father Aaron.
Thank you, George. And you ran this really in an incredible, wonderful way. And we're very grateful. Thank you very much. Very well. Thank you all. Again, thank you, Doctors Kales. You're incredible. And this evening will stay with us forever.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and forever, and to the ages of ages. Amen. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Holy Father, bless.
Blessed is God who has mercy upon us and nourishes us from his bountiful gifts by his grace and love always. Lord, you have gladdened our hearts in your creation, and we have rejoiced in the work of your hands. The light of your countenance has shined upon us. Lord, you have gladdened our hearts. We have satisfied with the good things of the earth. We shall sleep in peace and repose in you, for you alone, Lord, have sustained us in hope. Through the prayers of our holy fathers, Lord Jesus Christ, God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Bless of the Lord be with you all. Yes. Please, the committee, please.
9:30.
The committee, please come forward. Dimitri, Diane, Nick, Theophanis, Mary, Helen, Peggy, Maria, John Herbilis, Father,
Where are they?
Helen, V. The committee, please. We need to take a picture.
There's those with his beard. Who is it, Helen?
There's Peggy.
Who?
Peggy right there.
Who is it?
Peggy.
Oh, Peggy. Is that Stephanie Diamond? No.
No.
That's the Theophanis' daughter up there.
No, Theophanis' daughter's not there.
Oh,
She was on.
well, who is this
Zoom.
lady right here?
I don't know. I don't know who
This
that
is, I think, Harbilis's wife.
No, I think that's Father Varvelis'
Oh,
wife.
okay, all right. There's those also, Father Barbarellas.
Mute our line, I can't do it. Okay.
So John reminded us, Dr. Kales, that we did not give the proper greeting, if you will, but it's Oxy.
Axios! That's what I always say. Remember when I used to do the scholarships? Axios. Nobody behind? You want to do it all on one level? That's it.
So Doctors Kales, we wish you all good night. We're going to end the Zoom. We love you. We hope you enjoyed the evening. Good night.
Thank you. We enjoyed it very much.
Wave.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, George. Thank you, John.
And that guy looks to me like no, who is that?
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, that's Chris Magula.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Nice seeing